Greetings, Judah. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, I want to take a couple of moments and share a message that I think is worthy of reflection for us as we're in these last days and with so much worry and concern and you know war, rumors of war, infighting, uh, families being pulled apart, turned apart, families picking sides based off of, decisions that, were made in times of peril. And I just want to remind each of us, I'm saying, that, we have to be able to stand fast. Our book, warned us that we needed to remember to stand fast in the times of trouble and not to faint, not to give up. I think I know it's Isaiah, um, and I want to say it's chapter 40, but let's go there. We'll go there, y'all will, but not just yet. That was an immediate revelation that was given to me to take you over there to just as a precept to what your brother is sharing, with you. But more importantly, I feel I'm being led to emphasize that, in these times of despair, these times of trouble, not to give in, to the pressures. Don't give in. And what I mean by pressures, I'm talking about, pressures from love, family members, loved ones, to push you into making a decision that you don't feel is consistent with, the Torah. Push you into making a decision that you don't believe is in the best interest of your family, pushing you into a decision that you don't believe long term is in your own best self interest. And it could be something as simple as, telling you that, okay, we're not going to visit with you anymore if you did not, obey, the global mandate. And if you decide to not comply with the global mandate, then no longer will we bring our children around you. No longer will we come around you, and no longer will you be invited to to participate in the things that we participated, and some things that we know you loved so much. But as a reminder, our book tells us that we wait on Elohim and we put our trust in Yahuwah, in these times of trouble. We don't allow our flesh, simply meaning our emotions, to drive our decisions, because we realize that inside of our emotion, Satan can easily, Hasatan, can easily get in there and give a false impression that is okay, that is permissible, that you're overreacting, you're thinking about this too much, you're conflating the issue. When the truth is that first voice that gave you the conviction to stand, because that voice you knew was from, Elohim, because you could validate it through his promises, through his commandments, through his directions, that we don't do those particular things, or we don't do that particular thing. And what really brings to my heart, and I'm going to share some of that, with you, with the family in a moment, is the story of Ahab, and what happened with him and Nabal, and how Jezebel, got mixed up and stirred up, some conflict between two brothers. I mean, one was the king, and the other one, was a Yehudi, but we are the same brother, same family. In our nation, our kings are servants. When they're in their right mind and they're honoring Elohim, they don't allow themselves to be tyrants. They understand servant leadership. Yahusha reminded us that when he said, let him that is the greatest among you be the servant of all of you. Teaching us that the greatest commandment that we could have was to be to love our neighbor as we loved ourselves. Because inside of that, it was loving Elohim with all our heart, mind, and our, spirit, the Ruach. And so when you look at that story, and I'm going to share that story, you'll see the importance of a man standing for his convictions. a man standing for his truth. And not unlike right now, many of us took a stand against the mandate. Because we had a conviction about it. We believed that it was not the right thing to do. And although there were pressures placed on us from, internal pressures as far as family pressures and external pressures in relationship to employment issues. Some of us took the stand and we were willing, if necessary, to give up the ghost, rather than, go against what we knew was a conviction that was established, because we heard, the voice of our Elohim saying, your body is the temple. It's where, the Ruach, resides. And that inside of there should be no pollutants. I mean, if you think about it from this perspective, if the Most High through the Torah and the dietary laws would not have us eat any unclean animals, then no one else should be able to have convinced us that if we couldn't put unclean animals in our bodies, surely we could not put, unclean I don't even know what word to use. I'm going to use poisons because we don't really know where the stuff originated at that they were asking our people to put in their bodies. We have no idea. And not only did we have no idea, they didn't do us any favors by telling us that if we had some type of strange reaction, that there would be nobody culpable for it. There will be no culpability for it. In other words, no one will be held accountable for that. So forget about suing, the manufacturers of it. Forget about suing the legislators who quickly joined in with the manufacturers of it and put laws in place to protect them regardless of what, the ingredients could do to these royal temples. And I do use the word royal temples because as the people, of the book, the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we are a royal priesthood. That's our word. That's what we were. So Elohim made us as an example for the rest of the world. Such an example to the rest of the world that the rest of the world is going to be judged, by their behavior in relationship to his people. That we would be the measuring, stick of the world. And therefore, we have to understand how to be honorable and be true to his word, and also the importance of standing our ground in times of trouble. And the story, of Jezebel, Ahab, and Naval is a very good example of taking a stance and also being compromised and also allowing negative influencers to come in and plant seeds, of rebellion in our hearts. In other words, to go against what is right under the guise that you deserve to have that. Live your best life now. All of that, all of that rhetoric that the enemy is so easily, and when I mean enemy, I'm talking about the demon forces and the demon seed, their children, are so quick to use their media outlets, entertainment outlets, to poison our hearts, to poison our minds, through every vehicle of communication that they conspire to invent to pollute us physically, spiritually, and mentally. So therefore, in these days, we have to find the resolve, and we have to understand the importance of the resolve to do what is right in regards to what does say Yahuwah. Let his word be true, and let man's word be lies. Amen? And so, in regards to, the situation I'm talking about, compromising, our temples, our royal temples. Now, it's starting to come out. I heard Farrakhan talk about it in his message the other day, and I'm not a follower of Farrakhan, and I don't advise any of us to follow those who are pagans, who worship pagan entities, those who try to imitate, the truth with their false religion and compromise polluted doctrine. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. And I would say in his message, the swan song that was delivered on, I guess, what they call Savior's Day, a few days back, if you go to in that particular message, go to 3 hours and 57 minutes, thereabout, and listen for about 10 minutes. And you're going to hear Farrakhan talk about, a conspiracy that was intentionally set in place by some of the most wicked people on this continent. Devils, demons, wicked demon seed. And how they conspired, as the book told us, that David warned us in Psalms, 83, that they would conspire against us. But how they conspired and targeted us to, for the most part, wipe out any remembrance, on this earth of Israel. And they tried. And unfortunately, many of our people complied. And if you listen to what he's saying, if you were one of those individuals, who compromised your resolve because you wanted to protect, your worldly possessions, and I'm not talking about inheritance here. I'm talking about, you want to keep your job. You wanted to be able to go wherever you wanted to go without, being told you weren't allowed in because, you did not let them to, you did not allow them to put something in your temple when you know that Elohim has strict laws, again, about what is allowed inside of our temples. But you compromised it because you wanted favor. You wanted favor. You wanted favor. In our book, again, how many times have you heard your brother share? There's some things that's going to seem like it's the right thing to all of us. Because we all are vulnerable to the lust of the flesh. All of us. I don't care who you are. Anybody sitting there telling you that their resolve is so strong they can never be tempted in the flesh, that is nothing but Satan, again, in the garden, with our dear sister Eve, telling her about, her powers and about, and some distorted lie about someone was trying to keep something from her. You're being self-deceived, my parent. Or you're not self-deceived, you're allowing yourself to be self-deceived. So we all are vulnerable. But we do have a shield, a force shield that's impenetrable, called the word of Elohim. And if we turn to the word of Elohim in our times of distress, I can assure you he will lift us up. Amen? He will lift us up. And he will give us the result. As a matter of fact, praise Yah. I want to say one more thing before I go there. No, let's go there. Praise Yah. Then led to go there, and we're going to come back. All right? Turn your book to Isaiah. Amen? Hallelujah. Let me make sure I don't lose my place over here in Kings. Go to the book of Isaiah, our brother Isaiah. Powerful prophet. Powerful man, a man with resolve, a man who would not give in regardless of the circumstances. A man that was hunted down like an animal sometimes, and he still did not succumb, to the wicked, kings and leaders, on this earth. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Yeah. Hallelujah. Let's go to Isaiah 54. All right, and you've heard this before, but we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna go a couple of other places. Isaiah 54, verse 17. It reads, "No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahuwah, and their righteousness is of me, says Yahuwah." Amen. So he's telling us there, don't worry about, what anybody says to you. Don't worry about their judgment against you. Don't worry about the weapons that they conspire to try to harm you, take you down, scare you, as they did with so many of our brothers with this mandate and sisters. And again, if you're listening over there to what Farrakhan is saying and many others, it's going to not be a good situation. It really isn't. Because so many of us, you follow me, did not take the right position of trusting Elohim. We trusted man. We trusted the pastors. We trusted the mayors. The health, guidance or guiders. We trust, the president. We trusted the Congress. We trusted all of these people, the scientists. You follow me? The so-called medical experts. We trusted all these people, and we never considered whether or not, these people were compromised, that these people were being influenced by Satan. Just as, Ahab allowed himself to be influenced by someone. Talking about King Ahab. Amen? And if you go to Isaiah chapter 59, go read down here. Let's see. Matter of fact, I'm going to read, from 15 to 18, and I'm going to stop there because there's a message in there, and then I'm going to pick right back up. All right? So stay with me, brothers and sisters. We're in a study. And sometimes when you're in a study, it may seem like, man, he's all over the place. No, I am just being led by the Rahuk. I don't come with a a predestined, word for you. I don't have a predestined word for you. All I have is a heart to serve Elohim, and inside of the heart of serving Elohim, I'm mandated to serve you. And in serving you, through being a servant of Elohim, then we go where the Ruach leads us. Amen? And it makes sense. If your heart is open to knowledge, if you want your knowledge to be increased, if you want to be able to fight in your time of trouble, then you don't get caught up in he's all over the place. And again, I'm just for clarity purposes. You don't get caught into that. We adapt by the moment. We adapt according to the word that is in our ear. So keep that in mind as you follow along. Amen. So let's go. The book of Isaiah. We're going to read chapter 59, verse 15. Yes, truth fails, and he that departs from evil makes himself a prey. What does it mean by that? Truth fails. It simply means that sometimes, you're going to go with people with the truth and you're going to get rejected. They're not going to want to hear what you have to say. You're going to come to people and give them advice, good advice, healthy advice, and they're going to reject that advice. They're going to tell you, oh no, you're believing in conspiracy theories. Oh man, no, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh no, you're listening to that woman or that man. You need to make your own decision. Don't listen to them. The truth will fail sometimes. Sometimes you'll bring the truth to someone, a loved one, or to just an audience, and they will reject the truth. So don't ever think that the truth is always going to win. I'm talking about when you're amongst men. Elohim word it will never fail. But just because he gives us a word to bring to the people and the people don't reject it, I mean the people don't hearken to it, you follow me? Or you go to the people and they don't listen to you, understand that your truth is still the truth. It failed to pull them away because their hearts were hard. That's what I'm trying to say. So the truth fails in that way. If their heart is hardened, or in other words, they've got their mind made up already, they have a perceived notion of what they're going to do or believe already, and you bring them the truth and they reject the truth, then the truth fails. It does not fail from being the truth. It just fails to penetrate the hardness of their hearts. Amen? So he says the truth fails, and he that departs from evil makes himself a prey. So when you come out, or you take a stand for the word of Elohim, or you taking a stance for the truth, people are going to single you out for that. You're going to find people are going to start to ostracize. In other words, move away from you. You're going to feel alone many times. I was talking to a sister yesterday, and we were talking about the word. And the sister brought to my attention, she said, sometimes I feel like I'm out here by myself. I said, sister, we all feel that way. All of us who are standing for the truth, we have those moments where we feel like we're out here by ourselves. But we know we're not. Isaiah, the same prophet, after he took care of business with Jezebel, he went into exile because she put a contract out on him. And he was in the wilderness alone. And you remember the story. He was crying out to Elohim. He was grieving. I'm by myself. I've done your will. Everybody hates me. Jezebel's trying to kill me. And I'm by myself, all alone here. And you know what the Most High said to him? He said, son, get up. I got 7,000 men, 7,000 prophets, 7,000 believers in Jerusalem that have not bowed down to Baal. In other words, they have not bowed down to wickedness. In other words, they have taken the same stance that you have taken. You are not alone. There's 7,000 others over there, one city away, or however far away he was from Jerusalem. And I want to remind you of that, brothers and sisters. Although you may feel alone, or you're going to feel targeted, just remember, first of all, our book said we will be persecuted for taking a stand. If you're not taking a stand, if you're not being persecuted for this word, it's only because you're not living by the word. There is no word in you, so there's nothing for Satan to persecute. But if you're standing on this word and you're striving to grow in the knowledge, you're striving to be all that you can be, then you're going to be persecuted. What do I mean by that? People are going to say negative things about you. They're going to speak evil upon your name. They're going to ostracize you. They're going to not want to socialize or associate themselves with you. They're going to call you crazy, silly, religious, any kind of name they can think of. You're going to be a target. You're going to be a prey. They're going to do everything in their power to marginalize you, to silence you. But when it happens, understand it was prophesied, it was foretold. And truly, if you really want to know the truth about it, it means you're in the right place. You're in the will of Elohim. Amen? And I think some of you need to hear that. I know I need to hear it every now and then. And I felt the sister that I was talking to yesterday, I think she was encouraged, by hearing me saying, no, you're not alone feeling that way. There are many other of us out here feeling just like you feel, sister. But we're determined. We're resilient. And about to get ahead of ourselves. All right? Well, I just read it a moment ago. No weapon formed against us is going to prosper. In other words, we're not going to be deterred. Even if that means that we have to die for this truth. We will do it. Gladly. Amen? If we got to be martyrs for the truth, then we'll be martyrs. Amen? A martyr is just someone who was murdered for the truth. They stood on the truth, and they were told, if you don't change your position, we're going to take your life. And they said, you ain't taking it like Yahushua. I give it. You might think you're taking it, because I did have a choice. I could have went along with your mandate, but I choose to stand with Elohim. So you're not taking anything. I'm giving it for the truth. Amen. And for those of you who took that stance against that mandate, how do you feel about yourself right now? I suspect you're feeling pretty good. I think you're feeling blessed. You know, we were told, come January, February, boy, if you don't, your whole life is going to be turned upside down. Lies of the devil to deceive our people. And here it is, March, and they have dropped all the mandates. New York, California. You follow me? Many of these New Orleans. Now all of a sudden, oh, it's okay. It's done. We're good. Think of what would have happened had you not held your ground. Those things that Farrakhan talked about and many others are talking about, those things would now, be preeminent in your thoughts. And now Satan is going to use, your lack of faith, your willingness to accommodate, because you were afraid that you were going to have to take some type of loss. You listen to the devils. And now the devils are sitting over there saying, that was your choice. We didn't force nobody to do anything, like they always do. Amen. But praise y'all for those of you who are still standing, and those of you who are going to continue to stand. And may y'all have mercy on those who did not. Because when I go back to 1 Kings, there may be an out for them. So if you're one of those individuals and you're feeling distraught, you know what I'm saying? There may be a way out. I don't know. But I'm going to share what the book showed to me. So if you stick around a few minutes, maybe this will help you. At least the knowledge of it. Maybe. But let me continue. He says that those who depart from evil make themselves a prey. And Yahuwah saw this, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. He was saying, how dare you attack my people? How dare you ridicule those who take a stand for me? Where are the judges? Where are the righteous people who say, you know what, even if we don't agree with them, they have a right to hold that position? Even if we are not going to conform to what they conform to, we have no right to speak evil against them. He said, how dare you use no judgment? How dare they use no judgment? It pissed him off. And don't be looking at me all strange because I used the word piss. David used it when he was mad at Nabal. Jehu used it when he was chasing after Ahab. And guess what? Isaiah used it, when he went to talk to Ahab about what he did to Naboth. But anyway, I digress. And it displeased him, and it displeased Yahuwah that there was no judgment. And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Wow. There was nobody speaking on behalf of the righteous, those of us who are taking a stand, other than one another. And he wondered, he said, wow, you mean to tell me all of y'all going to just attack these men and women for having principles, for having a value, for standing up for what they believe? And y'all going to target them and say that they're the cause of it? Wow. Y'all going to listen to a demon, wicked, so-called president of these, United States tell you that how to think in regards to those people who are just using their Yahuwah given right to stand for what they have a conviction on? And you guys are going to go along with him? That's what it means. No man. No man with judgment. And he saw that there was, verse 16, he saw there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness, it sustained him. For he put on righteousness as a breastplate, and a helmet of Yeshua. upon his head. And he put on the garments of vengeance for his clothing, and was clad with a zeal as a cloak. And I want you to think about that. Doesn't that sound like Ephesians chapter 6, right around verse 12, 13? You see, when you look at the epistle letters or the so-called New Testament, this is what we say when we say, look, if you're reading something in the New Testament, if you can't validate it in the scripture or in the Torah, disregard it. It's an infiltration. It's an infiltration. It's deception, and it was tares that were planted with the wheat to deceive our people. That's why the book said that every word be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. Isaiah said, line upon line, precept on precept. So if you want to believe something that's in New Testament doctrine, then it will be in your best interest, brother or sister. You go to the scripture and you find the validation for that, the confirmation, the affirmation of that. You go to the Torah and you search it out. And if you don't find it over there, then disregard it. Amen? Let the angels, sort it out. But don't you dare buy into it. But here's a classic example for confirmation, precepts. Now I'm going to skip down. I just wanted to bring that out. Verse 19. And so shall they fear the name of Yahuwah from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Ruach, Yahuwah, shall lift up a standard against them. Amen? And that's what he's saying, that don't be afraid. When the enemy comes in like a flood, and the times look dangerous and look perilous to you, hold your position. Hold your ground. Don't compromise. If that means you got to be a prey or a target, if that means that you're going to lose all of your friends, that means that you're going to lose all of the access, to what is perceived to be wealth, then so be it. There's nothing more valuable than your stance, sisters and brothers. And whenever the enemy comes in, like a flood, with all of their fears and their so-called concerns for you and concern for your well-being, you understand that, no, I am going to stand because Elohim is with me. Yah is with me. So as they come in like a flood, just remember, the word is what going to be your buoy. You know what a buoy is? That's how they put that in the water sometimes to measure the depth of water. They put a buoy there. And he says the word is our buoy in times of flood or in times of trouble. That's why the word has to be a part of your everyday life, your everyday journey. Your day should start off in the word. Your day should consist of meditation around the word. And your day should end with the word. Amen? Because the enemy does not take time off, brothers and sisters. Satan don't go on breaks. He don't go on lunch. He doesn't go on vacation. Amen? He's like a roaring lion, going all over this earth, looking for us. Pray. He don't care about his kind. He already has his kind. He has his cubs. So that they're looking for you and I, those of us who are standing, those of us who continue to stand, those of us who have done all we can do to stand and will still stand, the righteous of Elohim. That's what it looks like. Somebody said, what does righteousness look like? It's taking a stand for the word of Elohim, and regardless of what anybody says or whatever they try to do, successfully do to you or not, you don't move off of your stance. You don't let them change you. You don't let them cause you to go back or to turn back. Amen? Because you have a force around you. You have a force inside of you that no weapon created. I don't care any kind of weaponry. These demons can come up with their nuclear weapons, their Poseidon, submarines, their harp, their dart, demonic weaponry, their weather pattern controlling weaponry, their climate change lies, no matter what weapon they come up with, their mandates, their injections, none of them will prosper against us. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Let that, marinate inside of your ruach. Sister Hammond will appreciate me for that. Let it resonate in your ruach. In other words, your spirit. And it will strengthen you, sisters. It will strengthen you, brother. The word I'm talking about, it's going to strengthen you. It'll give you the resolve to fight and block it out. To turn it down. Turn it off. Talking about the weaponry that's used, those voices. Those conspirators who are attacking you, not realizing they're attacking Elohim who sent you. And therefore, Elohim will judge them for that. A vicious judgment, I might add, for attacking us, for standing for him and his truth. Amen? So don't forget that. Write that down. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. Amen? Verse 19. You can just write 20, 21. Amen? Again, I'll read 21. He says, for as for me, this is my covenant with them, says Yahuwah. My ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed's seeds, says Yahuwah, from henceforth and forever. See, that's what we need to understand about a covenant, guys. See, covenants cannot be broken. Don't let anybody tell you that the covenant was renewed. Elohim doesn't have to renew a covenant. His word is forever established in the heavens. His promises are absolute, eternal. It's all about his promises, his covenant. And if you honor his covenant and trust his covenant, then you'll see the manifestation of the knowledge and the increasing in yourself, because you'll see it manifested in your seed, your children, and your children's children, and their children's children's children. If this earth, lasts as long. Well, some of us have grandchildren already. Some of us potentially could be great-grandparents. I don't have any great-grandchildren, but I have a granddaughter who's old enough to be a mother. So the possibility is there. Praise Yah. But keep that in your heart. Amen? And I wanted to bring that out because, again, I just wanted to give you something, my brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, to complement what I'm going to share with you as we go back over to the book of 1 Kings. Now, I'm going to do a casual walk through chapter 21 with you. Get your pen, get your paper out, take notes if you can. And if nothing else, just ask Elohim, Yahuwah, to just open up your ruach and let these words drop in. Let them drop in. And I suspect that if you go in, when you do have time to reflect and study, they'll bear fruit inside of you. Amen. What I mean by bearing fruit inside of you is that it will strengthen you. It will help you understand the times that we're in, these troubled times, and that we don't, like many of our brothers and sisters, get deceived into listening to demons, devils, and their fear message, their fear tactics, telling us that, we were doing the right thing, when in all actuality, they were doing an evil thing. And now they don't want to take any responsibility if this stuff starts to harm us. I'm talking about us as a people. Those of us who did not comply, we're good in that regard. But those who did, who allow, themselves to be, I'm gonna just be straight up with you, misled. You follow me? You know, this is all I can say again. You follow me? You did make a choice. And you probably still have time to choose. Because if the outcome is what Farrakhan said and many others are saying, then maybe it's time for you to just change your life right now. Maybe you've been a religious person, a Sunday worship person, a Wednesday night Bible study person. Maybe you were a Jesus believer. Maybe you were praying to candles and cross and stars. Who knows? Maybe you were praying to rocks, Islam or whatever. Maybe this is your chance. Maybe this message is Elohim's mercy and grace to you. That you repent. And that you rededicate yourself or dedicate yourself to finding out who the true creator is and his purpose for our nation. Maybe this is your chance. It's up to you to take advantage of it. It's your soul, so it's up to you if it's going to get saved or not. Or, as many will, you'll stay in your self-denial, your righteousness. Take your chances. But trust me when I tell you this. These words are going to come back and haunt you. Not my words. I'm talking about the book. This warning will come back to haunt you too. But I'm saying these words are going to come back and haunt you. How is that so, DFG? In judgment, at the resurrection of the dead, which you will be, you will hear them again. Then it's going to be haunting words then. Because as the book shared with us the other day, it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of shame and a lot of remorse and a lot of weeping and a lot of crying. And it didn't have to be that way. But it's going to be that way. As a matter of fact, according to the book, only 1/3 of our people, 1/3, are going to hearken. But again, you can be in that 1/3. Even if you made a terrible decision. But you're going to have to do something. You just can't say, oh, well, my bad. No, you're going to have to work out your salvation now with fear and trembling. You're going to have to put your hand to the plow while you have time. If you genuinely care about your soul. Let me say it that way. Because maybe you don't even care. And if you don't care, then, give the video a thumbs up anyway. So maybe someone who does care, at least they can hear it. But anyway, let's go over to King, because, I shared with you earlier about taking your stance and holding your position, especially if you know that position lines up with the word. But here's something else I want to bring out. Be careful that when you're in moments of duress, in moments of anxiety, moments of what we can call uncertainty, maybe desperation, which I can't imagine why we would be desperate, but I'm sure it could happen. Be sure that you don't allow others to come in your ear and say, you know what, I got you. This is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to help you out here. You see, because that could very well be Satan. That's why you have to be careful who you're listening to. And careful who can influence your decision. That's why you need to have the words to back you up. You need to have the book to back you up. So that at least you can say, based off of what that influencer is doing, does it line up with the commandments? Or are they doing their own thing? Using the world's, solution. Using the world's craftiness, cunning ways to help you out of your jam. I know somebody that knows somebody. That kind of foolishness. Be careful who you're listening to in your times of trouble. Be careful who you turn to in your times of trouble. Matter of fact, I would go as far as to say, be careful who you tell your problems to, your concerns to in your times of trouble. If they're not lined up in the word and they don't love the word and they don't hear the word of Elohim, I wouldn't be telling them anything. What do you think they're going to tell you? They don't know Yah. They only know the God of this world, because that's who guides their everyday life. Are you calling them evil? I'm not calling them evil. I'm telling you that they make all their decisions based off of, the things they can, off their senses, their five senses, right? Taste, smell, hear, see. What's the third one? Touch? I think that's it. But they make all their decisions off of the flesh, their instincts. And they are never going to get it right. Even when they seem to be right, they're wrong. Because there cannot be any truth if you don't even know what truth is, if you don't even care to know what truth is. And what is truth? Our book say the word of Elohim is truth. And if they don't know the word, they don't study the word, they only recant, recite, repeat what they hear at church, what their grandfather told them when they were little children. I mean, some of these grown people still singing, "Now lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul should keep." They're still doing nursery rhymes, fairy tale prayers. In other words, following their tradition, the way they are accustomed to doing things. Do not listen to these people. Our book says you should judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. If their behavior does not line up with Scripture, don't tell them what your concerns are, sisters and brothers. And please do not open up your heart to take their advice. If somehow they know, maybe they live with you or affiliated with you, maybe they work with you, and they become aware of it through some other format other than you sharing it with you, do not listen to these people. And I'm going to do my best in whatever time Elohim gives us on this lesson to clarify why that is. Amen? Let's go here. Hallelujah. 1 Kings chapter 21. And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Urieli had a vineyard which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Naboth the king. And Naboth spoke to Naboth, saying, "Give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden for my herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give you for it a better vineyard than it." See, Satan is always offering you something, an imitation of something, telling you, you don't need that. Oh, you can do better than that. You don't have to listen to them. He's always out there with a proposition, sisters. He's always got some proposition, that he's throwing your way when he's trying to get something from you. And you need to remember that, my dear sisters. And understand, who is this talking to me? Try this, the Ruach by the Ruach, to see is it of Yahuwah. Again, we need to guard your heart, your ears. Don't listen to some of these videos out here, the Geno Jennings out here and all these other guys out here preaching all kind of idolatry, abomination, lying on Elohim and the name of the truth and holiness. And many of you are over there chasing all these different places, and that's why you stay in a place of confusion. A place of confusion. Because you're listening to too many people. And many of these people that have their own, because you're not validating them, they take you to a scripture, they read a verse of scripture, and then they start putting their spin on it. They don't go precept on precept on precept. If they're teaching from the book, they should be going precept on precept. They'll still start reading one place, and okay, now take you over here, then take you back here, and everything should be interconnected. Remember we talked about those dots the other day? The dots should be connecting. If the dots don't connect, then don't believe it. Kind of reminds me of Johnny Cochran when he was defending O.J. Simpson. He said, if it does not fit, you can't acquit. I mean, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Praise God. Twisted that one up. And that's the mentality that we need to have. If their truth, what they're saying doesn't line up with the word, then it's not the truth. Amen? And they need to give you evidence. Evidence is simply precepts. When you hear somebody say precept, in other words, give me more evidence, give me more information. I need to be able to validate what you say. I appreciate what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. But I'm not going to believe what you're saying until I can go in myself and validate. Because for all I know, I could be being self-deceived. I could be still caught up in religious customs and traditions, not realizing that I'm on the broad path to destruction. Because think about it like this. Our book through Yahushua said that broad was the path and wide was the gate that would lead many people to destruction. Talking about our people. Now you have to think, what is broad? What is wide? Religious customs, religious teachings, teaching that we were taught as children. I'm gonna give you one of these teachings that so-called Jesus was God. And many of us have got the name right, we've got the people right, but we still practicing the same customs of these devils. Because you tell me that these heathens, these Gentiles, don't say the exact same thing. That's exactly what they teach in the Catholic Church. That's exactly what they teach in all these other so-called Christian, organizations. They all teach that. Most of them do. Including dying for your sins. And I've said it to you time after time again. If he died for your sins, then I want to know who he's going to be talking to at Judgment Day about sinning. Because according to the book, we all going to have that conversation. So I don't know why, if I have been given, a suspended sentence, or if I've been exonerated, why do I still have to testify? Why do I still have to defend myself? That's a question that we don't take the time to ask. But if you go over into Matthew chapter 7 and read, talking about verse 20, 21, you're going to see people up there defending themselves who knew Yahushua, or they called Jesus. You go to Revelation chapter 21, verse 8, you're going to see people up there getting a sentence by so-called, Jesus, who we know as Yahushua. You go to Revelation chapter 22, again, you're going to see him saying there were some people in the gate and there were some people out of the gate. And some of those that were out of the gate, they either loved their liars, the people who told them what they wanted to hear, their custom, their traditions, or they were the liars themselves. He said those that love a lie and those who teach lies. And if I was teaching you a lie by what I just said, that would apply to me. Now, do you really think that your brother would be ignorant enough and silly enough to lie on the Most High? That is blasphemy. What I'm telling you, that you're going to die for your own sins. You don't have to. Because if you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you turn back to Elohim. He said that he would forgive us. He would heal us. He would restore us. Did he not? Go back, 2 Chronicles 7 and 14. Read it for yourself. But if you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, Deuteronomy chapter 7, he says these blessings would happen. But he also said if we rejected them, curses would happen. And again, a covenant or a promise from Yahuwah, Elohim, our creator, our father, they are eternal. Even Yahushua, the one we used to think was Jesus, said that heaven and earth would pass away before that covenant passed away. That they're telling us that is done away with, or there's a new, or there's an addendum. There's no addendum. That's deception. That was tares that were planted amongst the wheat. Lies that were planted amongst Israel to cause 2/3 of them to believe in idolatry, not even knowing they were in idolatry, and be led astray to that wide and broad path that was going to lead them to destruction, as was foretold by the anointed one, Yahushua. He warned us against that. He even went as far as saying, when they say Christ is here, don't believe him. Christ is over there, believe them not. Go read Matthew 24. He said, be careful that you be not deceived. Many of you guys, you come out of religion and you're still teaching what you learned in religion. If religion had you deceived, then you tell me, what is the change? When was that umbilical cord of religion cut so that you could be rebirthed, truly born again by the renewing of your mind? You caught that? When was that umbilical cord of religion or customs of men, when was it severed so that you can be born, pulled away from the lies, so that you can be renewed in your mind and hear what is truth and be able to separate, the wheat from the tares, truth from lies? Because he promised if you turn to him, he would turn to you, and that he would increase you in your knowledge. Not in your articulation, not in your ability to research, but your ability to know the truth and be freed and find the freedom that is in that truth. That our salvation is tied into Yahuwah and his promise. Amen? Praise Yah. And it came to pass after these things, let's go to verse 2. And Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, give me your vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near to my house, and I will give it to you and I will give you a better vineyard than it. Again, people telling you, you know what, I got something for you. You can do better than that. Many of you out there listening to this silliness, foolishness. There's nothing better than salvation. There's nothing better than being Israel. Nothing. Nothing better than what you already are, sister and brother. But many of you have turned to the things of this world for validation. And look where it's gotten us as a nation. Sisters acting like, streetwalkers. I'm going to be nice today. Brothers acting like vicious hoodlums. I'm going to be nice. Families torn apart, ripped apart at the core. And everybody just scattered, going their own way. And look at the judgment as it befalls our people. The terrible state that we live in today. This is all because of us listening to the liars out there telling us about, Elohim got something special for you. Bring me your tithes and offering, and I'll open up the window of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you cannot store up. But they would never use that faith. They tell you use that faith, but they don't use that faith. Yeah, their barn houses or their barn yards are full. They're full because you gave them all your stuff. That's why theirs are full. But the same one who tell you to seek Elohim to get your blessings are the same one coming to you for their blessings. I don't know if I can't see how you don't see the hypocrisy in that. The hypocrisy in that. They're hypocrites. Yeshua warned us of those hypocrites. Put something on you that they wouldn't do. Amen. You couldn't get a dime from these folks most of the time if you needed, unless you've been giving them quarters. Hallelujah. Let me go on. He says, I'll give it if it seems good to you, and if a better vineyard would not do, I'll give you money. Isn't that so much like the tempters, these men and women who the devil sends into our lives to try to take us off the right path, try to dissuade us? They either come with offering you some material thing, some opportunity, some access, or they come out there talking about money. Again, go back and listen to Farrakhan. I'm no fan of Farrakhan. A broken clock is right 2 times a day. I'm telling you, go back to 3 hours 57 minutes in that swan song message, he's going to tell you about our behavior. And he's right that time. When they start talking about, they wanted to take the man, they offered us marijuana, they offered us $100, they offered us snowballs, they offered us, lottery tickets, all this stuff. You said that, and none of us, well, those who conformed to that and went along with it, did not carefully evaluate. When did this nation ever did anything like that to get you to do something? We've been asking for reparations now for what, 20, 25 years? Our ancestors were promised it almost 180 years ago. 40 acres and a mule. Special Order 13. General Sherman. And they never kept that promise either. Amen. But, that should have been a signal to you. It sure was a signal to many of us. Oh, so Satan going to come and offer me money, for my body? For me to comply with my body? Ain't going to happen. I'm not a whore. I mean, I'm saying? I'm not a whore for money. I'm not a whore, for a lottery ticket. I'm not a whore for a snowball or an ice cream cone. And I'm not a whore just to be included in your family reunion. Y'all, if you don't want me there, I won't be there. Not going to be anybody's whore. And neither should you, Israel. Whoremongers going to have their part in the lake of fire. And it ain't just talking about sexual whoremongers. Talking about idolaters and those who compromise themselves, their temples. What a whore does. You say you lay down with a whore, you become just like the whore. The book. Shaul said that. I believe that part. But that's consistent with, again, Deuteronomy. Let there be no whore, a sodomite named in Israel. The book. The Torah. No whores, no sodomites. You don't know what a sodomite is? It's called a homosexual. And a whore, I think we all know what the hell that is. Sleeping around and you ain't married. There's no covenant in your sexual interactions. Neither one of you two have made any kind of covenant before Elohim to say, he's mine, she's mine, under the coverings of the book. And it's consecrated through the breaking and the shedding of the purity of the union by blood. And if you don't know what that means, then that means you need to do some studying. Amen. Verse 4. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Urieli had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give you the inheritance of my fathers. See, this is what I talked about earlier, that you have to be willing to take a stand for the truth. See, he understood that generational wealth stayed inside the generation. That what his fathers had passed down to him, he was not to sell that. That was supposed to be passed down to his children. He was not supposed to give that away for money or access or trade it like it's on the stock market or something. Like so many of our people do. There's so many times people talk about, I was talking to someone just recently, I'm going to be short, and I was talking about, Israelite ownership of clothing apparel. And I thought about FUBU, and I thought about Sean John and some of these other ones, and Russell Simmons clothing line, I forgot the name of it. And they say, oh no, they sold all that to the Gentiles. And then the same people come back and talk about, well, there's no black entrepreneurs, and there's no, because every time we get hold of something, every time Elohim bless us with some type of witty invention, what do? We sell it off to the heathen for wealth, fame, and access. For money. Money is going to perish. Land will last forever. It's an inheritance. But just like so many of us did, Naboth said, no, I don't want nobody else's vineyard. I don't want your vineyard. And you don't have enough money to buy me. Boy, what a powerful testimony. What a powerful conviction to have. You don't have enough money to buy me. And you don't own enough things to entice me. I belong to the Creator. I belong to, Yahuwah. I am an Israelite. What could be finer? What could be better? But so many of our people, nope. Just, all you got to do is jingle a little carrot in front of them. If you're down here, just get some crawfish. That'll do it. Give them some crawfish, a bottle, a couple of cans of beer, and you pretty much get any damn thing you want from them. They'll surely compromise the word. They'll turn their back on a Bible study for the quickness to go get that crab and no crawfish and their little beer or wine or whatever it is. They won't think twice about it. Hard-heartedness. Compromise, souls. But they think they're right. And therefore, they have become, a prey. And there is no judgment. In other words, nobody will judge them for that, but they'll come against us for telling them that way is the wrong way. But the minute you tell them, no, you shouldn't be putting unclean things in your body, they want to shut you down. Or want to take and use scripture out of, really epistle letters out of context, saying that you can eat anything you want to eat. If you really understood what you were reading, you would understand they were not talking about eating unclean things. They were talking about things that were that we could eat, you follow me, but we should not be putting that on any kind of wicked altars in the name of a blessing or a name of, the Most High. But he never told us to eat unclean things or put anything unclean in our bodies, nor to lie with anything unclean. In other words, unbelievers, heathens, Gentiles. Amen? So now you got the king, he's all in his feelings. Like so many of you brothers, instead of you just accepting a decision, you start making all these little compromise and start talking about people and saying stuff you shouldn't be saying and plotting and conniving against folk. So many of you do that. People who have been loyal to you, you turn your backs on them as soon as things don't go your way. That is evil. Just so you know, that is an evil attitude. That's unrighteous. There's a word that many of the Israelite men and women need to learn, and that word is called loyalty. Well, how did that look in the word, brother? It looked like Jonathan, when Saul was trying to kill him, he went against his father to protect Jonathan, his spiritual brother, his Israelite brother. What that look like, brother DFG? That looks like when Yeshua said, do unto others as you have them, do unto you, love your neighbor as yourself. Loyalty. That's what it looks like. And I could go on and on and on, but we'll never get through this message if I do. Amen? So he's all distraught. He don't want to eat. He don't want to talk. All he want to do is lay down and, whine and complain in his feelings. But Jezebel, his woman, came to him and said unto him, what's wrong with you? Why are you so sad? And I notice you're not eating. I'm putting, this is the word, but I'm simplifying it for you. And he said to her, because I spoke to Nabal the Urieli, and he said to him, give me your vineyard for money, or else. And if it please you, I will give you another vineyard for it. And he answered, and I will not give you neither my vineyard. And Jezebel, his woman, said to him, do you now govern the kingdom of Israel? Now see, here it is, a woman that got in his ear. Now he should have accepted the decision. See, sometimes, brothers and sisters, Elohim is going to tell you something that you don't want to hear, but you need to accept it anyway. There are times that Elohim is going to not give you access to something, and you need to be okay with it. This is a story to show you what happens when you compromise yourself. And then you go get in conspiracy with somebody else by bringing your issues to them and then letting them come up with solutions. Because the first thing they're going to telling you is trying to justify your wickedness. And many of us have so-called friends who will justify our, selfishness, our evil behavior. Girl, you don't need him. Girl, you can get a man anywhere. Man, you know what? Take it. If you don't want to give it to you, take it from him. If she don't want to give it to you, then you force her to give it to you. Just evil things. And there are many, it's okay, for your little boy not to identify with being a boy. It's okay for your daughter not to identify with being a girl. Remember, it's all about love. And what manner of love is that will tell you to go against the commandments of Elohim, that a man should not put on apparel that relates to a female, and a female should not put on apparel that relates to a male, and in addition, that if you lie with the same sex or gender is an abomination and is worthy of death. What kind of love are they spilling out of their mouths when they tell us that type of behavior is about love? They are blaspheming. And when you listen to that and you conform to that, or you don't protect your children against that, then you are a co-conspirator with them. Because see, now Ahab is becoming a co-conspirator with Jezebel. I mean, he didn't like what he was told, but he didn't plot to do something to the man. But now, because he went to the wrong source for solution or for resolution, now he's getting the wrong information. Instead of him turning to the word and accepting it and understanding that inheritance had to stay in that man's family. What he did, he turned to the world. In this case, Jezebel. Because if we don't know nothing else about Jezebel, she was about as worldly as you can get. And if you guys don't know what I mean by worldly, she was all about her image, all about her power, all about her sexuality, all about her influence, all about her righteousness, her femininity, her equality. Just for clarification, do any of you know someone like that? Then you need to be aware of them. You need to be concerned, and you need to put up a wall or a shield between you and them, because they will corrupt you if you don't, with their so-called loving advice. Amen. Again, what would a man give for his soul? What would a man exchange for his soul? If you're Nabal, nothing. But if you Ahab, access. I just want access. As long as I can get it. I don't care how I get it, as long as I can get it. Boy, that sounds so much like Israel. Does it not? Come on, let's be honest. We're amongst family. Doesn't that sound so much like our people? Willing to compromise for anything to have access, to get a couple of extra, pennies. This message is written to us for a reason, brothers and sisters. This is not just a fairy tale, not a story to entertain you, a Sunday message to fill the void of that's inside of your soul because you don't know Yah. If you have a relationship with Yah, there's no void in your soul. You don't need the church because you realize that you are the church if you're keeping the commandments. You don't need to have to run over there for somebody to give you a feel-good message. Itchy ears telling you what you want to hear. Twisting the word, like Jezebel now is twisting this. Stirring up trouble is the way the book says. She stirred up trouble. Not Ahab. Ahab was a coken. He was complicit because he shouldn't have went to her with that foolishness. And that's what happens with so many of us. We take foolishness and we bring it to somebody else for validation or justification or for whatever rationalization, and then we make the situation worse. We should have turned to Yah. When you are in a conflict, brothers and sisters, turn to Yah first. And if he wants someone to be involved in that, he'll direct you to them. And you'll know it because when you get there, they'll say, yeah, I know you were coming. Here's what Elohim said unto me to share with you, sister. Here's what Elohim said unto me to share with you, brother. Otherwise, keep it personal between you and him. Because Satan will sneak in there and he'll start corrupting you with his trickery, sorcery, cunningness, manipulation, backdoor deals, a friend of a friend, your connections. After all, I'm a Mason. After all, I'm a Alpha. I'm an Omega. I'm a Zionist. Whatever it is. To the destroying of your soul, I'm warning you, brothers and sisters, to beware of the craftiness of Satan. Because he will come as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Here's Satan then got in this man's woman, and this woman come to this man with a devilish plot so that he can have what he wants. Because after all, you deserve the best. Be careful with people telling you about the best you deserve. And it's not tied into the word. Be careful about that. Flatterers. Your pastors. People who told you to go put that mess in you. The ones who tell you can do anything you want to do. It doesn't matter as long as you know Jesus. Oh, by another name, Yahusha. But the same Jesus. Amen. Amen. Verse 7. And I'm reading 1 Kings chapter 21, verse 7. And Jezebel, his woman, said unto him, Do you now govern the kingdom of Israel? She said, Aren't you the boss? You're a man. Nobody tell you what to do. You want something, you go take it. But that's okay, I got this. Let me handle this. That's how this is telling you. That's how that, just breaking it down to layman terms, brothers and sisters. And you sisters who are guilty of that kind of behavior, better check yourself. You claim you don't have a Jezebel spirit. But are you evaluating your behavior? What kind of message you put? What are you whispering in your man's ear? What are you whispering in your children's ear? What are your friends whispering in your ear? Have you become Jezebel and don't realize it? Are you listening to Jezebel and not realize it? In essence, have Satan entered in as a friend, as a lover, as a daughter, as a mother, husband? Are you compromising yourself because it feels good to you? It works for you? You better be careful. And if that describes your behavior, or that describes, your past, then I'm telling you, it's time to repent and move away from that. Rid that out of your environment before it's too late. Because there are going to be repercussions. Be not deceived. Elohim is not mocked. Whatever you invest your time in, that's what you're going to reap. If you get wicked materialism, that wicked materialism going to come back at a time that you are at most vulnerable, and you're going to realize that all that stuff wasn't worth anything. It's all gone now. And you're going to be left, looking like a fool, brother. Sister, you're going to be left looking like a fool. And that does not have to happen. But, again, if you won't hearken to the word, then, hey, remember, you're bringing it on yourself. You are bringing it upon yourself. Amen. Verse 8. So she wrote a letter in Ahab's name, how wicked and cunning, and sealed them with his seal, and sent the letter unto the elders and to the nobles that were in the city, that were dwelling, near or dwelling with Nabal. And she wrote in the seventh, saying, Proclaim a fast and set Nevo on high among the people, and set 2 men, the sons of Belial, before him to bear witness against him, saying, you did blaspheme Elohim and the king. Other words, she wrote a letter. She lied on the man, but this is how she did it. She pretended like somebody else, it was someone else's decision, not hers. See, that's another one of the cunning ways many of our people operate in. That kind of cunning. Well, I ain't want to do it, but I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to lose my job. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to lose my family. I didn't want to do it, but I felt that if I did it, then I wouldn't have nobody. Lies, 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 lies. Deception, 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 deception. Revelation 22 and 14. Those all the way through the end, the liars and those who love the liars. The liars and those who love believing lies. All those noblemen were told a lie, and they bought the lie. They never even considered that she was lying. So many of you men are going to get taken down by a lot of wicked women because your lust has caused you to be blinded by their physicality, by their sweet smell, their perfume, their long hair, their smooth skin. Many of you brothers are going to get taken down, and many men have been taken down because you let your eyes deceive you. Instead of stepping back and saying, wait a minute, that don't sound right. Wait a minute, no. A pretty woman with a plump ass is a dime a dozen. I can find one of them on any one of these damn streets, honey. They're going to take more than that to get me off the path of Elohim. It's going to take more than your little, love letter or your little American greeting card or your whatever to get me off the path. It ain't going to happen. And you can close your little stanky legs. Because I ain't trying to lay where everybody else lays or have laid. And sisters, brothers, same thing. Sisters, same message, go back the other way. Because he's going to come with his little carrots, telling you about, how fine you are and how good looking you are. All those lies. And he's nothing but a wolf in sheep's clothing. If that man don't come bearing the ark of the covenant, in other words, that man is not walking in the truth of the book, that's a devil. At least for you. I'll say that to you again. If that man don't come and you can't find that man in the volume of the book, talking about this book, that man is a devil. Well, why are you calling him a devil? Because he don't believe. Because the devils don't believe. But he don't know no better. I know. Still a devil. Well, you got to give him time. Yeah, you're right. But he's still a devil. Well, he's trying. He'll get there one day. Well, until he does, he's still a devil. Because it don't take that much trying. It don't take that much believing. What it takes is a conviction or open heart, a willingness to surrender to our master. He surrendered to your ass. And I bet you didn't have a hard time getting him to do it. But you're making excuses for him, as Jezebel did for Ahab. With all your rationalization. Our book said the day you hear the voice of Yah, harden what? Not your heart. In other words, succumb, submit, obey, honor. Hallelujah. So she conspired with the the noblemen. These would have been, all of your men of influence and power in that city. As many of our people do, including so-called policemen. Policemen in this city have so much access to the women in this city, it's not even funny. These women sell their souls just to be able to say they're sleeping with somebody who wears a gun and who can legally arrest and kill their own men. And they think it's something honorable about it. Men who chose an occupation that was used to hunt down their forefathers and in many cases lynch and murder them and rape you too, or at least rape your ancestors when they did capture you if you were trying to run away from oppression. Men who chose that occupation, and our women are still running after them, still enamored with them. Not realize he got a hole on every corner. I mess it with for somebody. I don't know who, but it is what it is. Amen. But these noblemen all bought into Jezebel's lie, and they proclaimed a fast. And in verse 13, they came to praise God. Verse 13. Then they carried him forth out of the city and stoned him with stones until he died. Isn't that something? She had this man murdered because this man took a stance for what was right and just, something that belonged to him rightfully. So that's why I say, brothers and sisters, and that's what the book was saying, don't always think that the truth is going to prevail. It will prevail ultimately, but there'll be times that you're going to be rejected and hated for the truth's sake. But when that happens, just understand it happened to our forefathers. And yes, Elohim blessed him. I guarantee you, Nabal is going to be a prince or a king when we go to the new heaven, new earth, in the next life. He will be there, shining bright. Great will be his reward for taking a stance and being willing to die for that stance. And again, I'll say again to many of you who resisted the temptation of the mandate, good for you, sister. Good for you, brother. That you weren't willing to sell out, to continue on, their wicked agendas, or to promote or support their wicked agenda. And again, if Farrakhan is right, a lot of you are going to be in a serious regret. A lot of you are going to leave children behind. A lot of you are going to lose children because you pushed them into that mess. Time for you, if you are guilty of this, you need to repent. And while you still have time, while you still have breath in your body, the consequences may still be the same for you, but at least, you can be, get mercy and grace and maybe enter into the kingdom in the next life. But so many of you, unfortunately, you won't do it. You won't repent. I'm about to get ahead of myself. But so this video don't go to 2 hours. Praise y'all. Let me read on it. It is what it is. I'm not going to apologize for the word. So if you got something to do, pause it. Go do what you got to do. Just come back later. But before you pause it, thumb it up so we can get this message, push it out. All right? And I'm not sure. I went back. I digressed for a moment, but I think it's appropriate. Went back and looked at last 8 or 9 minutes. I noticed it stops at 10, 8, 9 thumbs up. And yet we have anywhere from 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 views. So I don't know if that's if YouTube is intentionally not allowing you to thumb it up or not. So you can really give me some clarity too by thumbing it up. And if you don't necessarily, you don't have to thumb it up because you necessarily agree with it. Thumb it up because you heard it. Amen? So it can move out. Maybe it's not for you, but maybe it's for somebody else. If you don't want to share it, don't share it. But thumb it up, because then the algorithm should push it. Maybe it's for somebody else. Maybe you understand what I'm saying. All right? But let's not be selfish and say, well, I heard that's good enough. I don't want nobody else to know. That's not a righteous, position. It's not a righteous mindset. That's not loving your neighbor as yourself. And it sure is not honoring Elohim. Amen? He said we are to cry out, spread out, lift up our voice. We're supposed to push the word out by any means necessary. Hallelujah. So they had him, Jezebel conspired and had this man murdered. Let's see what Ahab does. Let's see if he go get after Jezebel for her wickedness. Let's see what he does. Excuse me for that. And it came to pass when Jezebel heard that Nabal was stoned and was dead, that Jezebel said to Ahab, arise and take possession of your vineyard of Nabal, the Urieli, which he refused to give you for money. For Nabal is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass when Ahab heard that Nabal was dead, that Ahab rose up and went down to the vineyard of Nabal and the Uriah to possess it. He didn't even question it. He was conspiring. That's why I say be careful who you're listening to, because you'll be talking to somebody, maybe even in innocence, never realizing that this person is going to take what you said and they're going to start manipulating things that you had no idea they would do. And guess what? The blood that's on their hands is going to be on your hands too. That's why you shouldn't be fellowshipping with unbelievers. That's why the book said, how can two walk together except they agree? Have no fellowship with unbelievers. That's what the book, because you can easily be thinking you're doing the right thing by sharing your pain. And you're talking to a devil. And that devil going to take what you said and they're going to start manipulating things. Then they'll come back and say, see, I told you I can handle, we're going to take care of you, that I had you, girl. Girl to girl, sister to sister, man to man, brother to brother. But just be sure to understand, whatever they did out there wickedly, if you were a part of it or they did it on your behalf, you're as guilty as sin. Amen? Verse 17. I'm going to pause there for 1 second. Praise Yah. Verse 17. And the word of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tisbe, and saying, arise and go down to meet Ahab, king of Yasharel, which is in Shamaron. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Nabal, whether he is gone down to where he went to possess it. Now he's out there acting like nothing happened. So that's what sin will do. See, when we allow ourselves to have the license to sin, after a while, guess what happened to us, brothers and sisters? There's no more conviction. There's no more conviction. That's a dangerous, that's reprobated. See, you go out there, you participate out there long enough, after a while, you're going to have no more conscience about it. After a while, where it used to bother you to go do that, it used to bother you to participate in it, after a while, it's going to start bothering you. That's the danger of you're going to become comfortable in your sins. That's why Yeshua said the dog goes back to his vomit and the pig goes back to the mud. That's why you cannot compromise yourself like that. Again, you should not have fellowship with unbelievers. When they say they believe, no, the devil believes. We're talking about believers who have fruit. Believers who have evidence, witness that they are believers. Not those who are sayers, doers. Because what's going to happen, you're going to do it one time too many, and then guess what? Your conviction is going to go and you're going to be good with it. It's like a woman who came out of the street, maybe who would, sleep around with guys from time to time if they were in a relationship. And then Yah pulled her out, cleaned her up, and then she said, you know what, I'm not going to be with no one except for my man that's given to me by Elohim. But then something happens. The relationship falls apart. And what did that woman do? She turned right back around and go back to the same people she was hanging out with, fellowshipping with. And before you know it, she's doing the same thing she was doing before Elohim took her out of that way of life. But now she's comfortable with it. She don't feel any conviction about it. She might think about it for a moment, but nothing strong enough for her to come out of it again. That means Elohim has removed his presence from her life. And brothers, same thing apply to you. If Elohim pulls you out, you stay out. You start a little leaven levels the whole. A lot of you think I can just do a little bit. Yeah, no, he does not. You keep on playing around with a little bit. And after a while, you're going to be comfortable in your little bit. And before you know, you're going to be knee deep, cover your ears if you don't hear this, in shit. Or waist deep, chest deep, neck deep, head deep. Do not compromise your soul with the cares of this world. Ahab should have known better. Ahab was the king of Judah, I believe he was. Ahab knew the law, the Torah, he knew. But he started to compromise himself. And then he allowed his woman to have more influence than she should have ever had in regards to his service to the Most High, which meant serving the people of the Most High. But he started listening because she started telling him things he wanted to hear. Then he compromised himself. And then he got comfortable in his for lack of a better word, folly. He got comfortable in it. And he brought some serious stuff on his household behind that. Amen. And I'm you know, you can read the rest of this because I can share with you. I mean, most of y'all know the story. You know, and let me give you the short version of it. You know, Elijah went to him and said, hey, see this mess you pulled? Yah saw you. You didn't get away with it. You think you're getting away with it. That's many of our people. You're doing stuff out there, and you think that because nothing has happened to you and everything is going along just fine, you think you got away with it. You haven't gotten away with anything. Without books, be sure your sins will find you out. There is nothing hidden in the dark that shall not come to the light. Many of you brothers out there, many of you sisters out there, I'm saying this to you out of love, are out here doing things you know you should not be doing because nothing is happening to you. You've gotten comfortable in it. Matter of fact, you think you're getting away with it. Just like Ahab. He's out there in the night planting his herbs. He's just going on about his life. Thinking that, hey, you know, nobody know what happened. You know, we good. So like when David had Uriah killed, he thought he was free. When he tried to cover up his wickedness. And Nathan came right back there and knocked on his door. Say, hey, I got a message for you. Say, there's nothing that you're going to do and get away with it, my brothers and sisters. The eyes of the Most High go out through the whole earth. Go read 2 Chronicles 16 and 9. Elohim, just like Satan goes on, the eyes of Elohim sees everything. You're not getting away with, none of us are getting away with anything. David thought he had gotten away with it, and he didn't. Ahab, another king, thought he had gotten away with it, and he had not. Amen? One of them took advantage of, I would say, an innocent woman, Bathsheba, and another one was influenced by a wicked woman, Jezebel. And Jezebel was out there doing all kind of religious stuff, by the way. She had 400 some odd prophets. They were worshiping Baal. They were killing babies. They were doing all kind of filthiness and stuff inside of Israel behind Jezebel, inside of Judah. Very religious. Jezebel is a brother. When you're dealing with a woman who has a religious spirit, realize, brother, that is not a woman of Elohim. Just because she's gone to church, just because she got her gospel music going, watch her entire walk. Watch her entire walk. Not just her Sunday walk. Her guilty feeling walk. When things are going bad, all of a sudden, Elohim becomes her focus. Watch her. And sisters, the same thing. Watch his, on Sundays, he shows up. On the Sabbath, he's all committed. But the rest of the week, you can't hear not a word of the Most High coming out of his mouth, or him teaching to his children, teaching with you, or bringing it out to those who Elohim puts in his circle of influence. As a matter of fact, you will not even be able to tell him from the heathens out there. And you know why you won't be able to tell him or her from the heathens out there? Because they are heathens. They just don't look like heathens because they profess to be something else. That's why Yeshua said, look at their behavior. Don't listen to their words. Watch what they do. Jezebel was wicked. But guess who else was wicked? Ahab. He was wicked too. Because he had no problem with her wickedness. He tolerated it. He should have shunned her. He should have did what David did to Michal. When Michal disrespected him, David shut her out. Said, I'm done with you. You're still a queen, but you will have no seed. That's the position that he should have taken with Jezebel. But then again, you think he didn't know Jezebel's ways? Of course he knew her ways. He slept with her. He was sleeping with her. He married her. Sure, he knew. But he just felt like, you know what? I'm the king. You know, I'm the man. I can do what I want to do. And, you know, whatever she's doing, well, you know, it ain't really on me, kind of, sort of, you know what I'm saying? You know, happy wife, happy life. You know what I'm saying? You know, she the boss at the end of the day. The same lies they're telling today got him destroyed. And many of you men out here getting destroyed because you're repeating those same lies, just a different wording, but it's the same lie. You are responsible for your household and everything that happens in it, brother. And sister, if you were a man and he's not the covering and he's not responsible for that household and he's not lined up with the book, then you had better depart yourself from him. That's book. You stay in there with him, when the shit goes down, it's going to go down right on your head too. And what about if the unbelieving husband, you know, and the woman is a believing wife? And look, you better be careful reading. I've already shared with you. Back that up with precepts. I know you're getting that from Paul in Romans or Corinthians. I think it's Romans. But go back and where is that in the Old Testament? The Old Testament says you put that person away. The Old Testament says if your wife is in rebellion, that you put her away. Yeah, writing divorce, whatever it is, you put her away. What you don't do is allow her to stay. So Ahab was just as guilty as Jezebel. It's funny, they talk about Jezebel, but everybody seems to want to give Ahab a pass. Well, guess what? Elijah didn't give him a pass, and Yahuwah definitely didn't give him a pass. Brother, you get no pass for partaking in wickedness with anybody, including your woman or wife. A happy wife, and you compromising yourself, is going to be a life of hell eternally. Amen. Say, behold, I will bring evil upon you. This is what Yahuwah is put in the mouth of Elijah to tell Ahab. He said, now I'm going to bring evil upon you, and I'm going to take away your prosperity, and I will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel. Or was he going to kill all of his sons? This man compromised with this woman and had an innocent man killed who was keeping the laws, because that was the commandments that inheritance was supposed to pass down that way. He had this man killed. And know what his consequences were? So you think you're getting away with your dirt, brother? Sister, you thinking you're getting away with your slick, cunning self? You're not getting away with anything. None of us are getting away with it. That's why we need to talk about this stuff. See, too often we don't talk about the truth. We get caught up in la-la land. Let's love. Let's love. There's a time for praise. There's a time for love. There's a time for honor. But inside of there's a time for hate. A time to kill. A time to go. A time to stay. At least we forget ourselves and compromise ourselves. Now, there's no way that was worthy for Ahab. So so for a garden, so you can plant some herbs, you're gonna lose 70 sons in your kingdom, and your woman too, just for a garden. But that's many of us. To keep my job, I let them do that to me. To keep my woman, I let her just talk to me and say anything she want to say to me. To keep my man, I don't care if he, don't study the word, don't teach us the word, and running out in the street and dragging me to every little party, every little ceremony, every little circus, every kind of festival, every kind of club, because he treat me good. All right? Just remember, you were warned. Not by me, by the word. He loved the things of this world, and you're following him right to hell with this world. Under the guise of a, happy life, happy wife. Well, I just want to support my husband. That's what Jezebel was saying. I just want to support my man. How? By going out there and having an innocent man murdered? And I gotta let's break this down a little bit further. Supporting your man how? By allowing him to lead your family, but keep Elohim out of it? Allowing him to drag you into places that you shouldn't be going, participating in ceremonies, worshiping idols and idolatry, celebrating paganistic holidays that are already identified by the Most High as wicked? In the eyes of the Most High, a murderer and a unbeliever are the same people. In the eyes of Elohim, a murderer and a fearful person are the same people. In the words of Elohim, homosexual and a murderer is the same people. In the words of Elohim, someone who's practicing sorcery, astrology, horoscopes, all that stuff, same people. Those who going into these temples of doom and worship, same people. Idolaters. Same people as a murderer. So don't go over to looking at Ahab and saying, well, this all happened to Ahab and Jezebel because it was a murder. Yeah, it was a murder. But many of you are doing things just as bad under guise of, well, it ain't that bad. Says who? Says who? Okay, let me help you. Might as well go to the book. Follow me, Revelation 21. If you don't believe me. You don't know that ain't. Jezebel conspired with the men in her city to have an innocent man murdered. And her husband went right along with it because he didn't hold her accountable for what she did. They murdered a man, an innocent man, who was just standing up for the truth. Amen? But some of you are saying, well, yeah, but I ain't committing no murder. I'm not committing no murder. Okay, well, let's find out what the book says about this. Revelations chapter 21, verse 8. As a matter of fact, let's start at verse 4. And Yahuwah shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes. Talking about our eyes. When we take a stand for the word, we take a stand for the truth. Trust me, brothers and sisters, there's going to become a day you are going to be so happy. Your joy is going to be just unimaginable. Unimaginable joy. See, y'all see this smile on my face? That's the smile you're going to have on your face, but it's going to be stuck. Your mind can get, but that smile is going to be on our faces when we go there. No more tears. Amen. He said, Yahuwah is going to wipe away all our tears from our eyes, and there shall be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things are going to be passed away. That's why we're standing. That's why we're serving, because we look forward to that day. Amen. Verse 5. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful, means the eternal. And he said unto me, It is done. I am the Alpha, and I am the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give to him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. Same thing that Yeshua said, that if that woman who she was talking about, he would give her water that she would never thirst. Here's Yahushua, saying the same thing again. But he's saying under the name of Yahuwah, not making himself God. Let's be clear here. It said right here, verse 4, and Yahuwah, not Yeshua, Yahuwah is going to wipe away your tears. Yahuwah is going to take away all your pain. Yahuwah is going to do all those things that your brother just read. But yes, Yahushua will be a part of your judgment. Amen? And he that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. But the fearful, amen, and the murderers, let's go back. But the fearful, and the unbelieving, and the abominable is, go back and read in the Torah and see what things the Most High considers an abomination. One of them, as I said earlier, sodomy, whoredom, those are abominations. Dressing in male's apparel or female apparel, if you're male or female. I'm talking about, go read Deuteronomy 22 and 5. Don't get mad at your brother. Just go read it for yourself. And says if he calls it an abomination. If he calls that abomination, then you remember, if that's the way you're living, that's the way you're dressing, according to the book, you're just as guilty as a murderer. I didn't say according to DFG. I say according to the book. You're just as guilty as a murderer, and you're going to find out about it at Judgment Day. If you don't listen now and correct it, you will listen then. When you die and you're called back before the Most High to be judged, you will understand and hear about it at that time. And you will be judged, and you will be, well, let's find out what's going to happen to you if you practice abominations. He says, and the abominable, and the murderers. I'm reading from Revelation 21 and 8. And the murderers, and the whoremongers, and the sorcerers. All these are the idolaters. You notice all this? And all the liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So we can easily go over there and judge Ahab for murdering Nabal. But are you doing these other things? Because if you're doing these other things according to the Most High, according to Elohim, let me be clear, not even Yahusha, according to Elohim, your behavior is the equivalent of a murderer. So if you're practicing any of those things, you are just as guilty as Jezebel and just as guilty as Ahab. And the same curse that that fell upon them, she was eaten by dogs, if you don't know the rest of her story. And he was killed on the battlefield like a coward, I might add, because he got deceived. But even worse, remember Isaiah said, all of those who pissed or peed against the wall, just another word for males. A male pees standing. Woman can't pee, she can pee on herself standing, but she can't pee standing. So when they say piss against the wall, all it's saying is male children. What he said that Ahab, because you got innocent blood on your hands now, you killed one man, I'm killing all of your sons. All 70 of them are going to die because you let Jezebel stir you up and had an innocent man blood shed, and you did nothing about it and holding her accountable. You went right along with it. As a matter of fact, you were the initiator of the whole event. You should have accepted that Nabal could not give you that land, and you should have been good with that. But no, you couldn't be happy. You just had to take and lust after something that was not yours. Your greed got the best of you. And so many of us, so many men today are dying in these streets because of greed. Your greed has gotten the best of you. Your lust has gotten the best of you. Many of our brothers, and they're dead. And they don't want brothers like me talking about that. Why are you talking about that, DFG? Why are you so negative, DFG? DFG, nobody want to hear that. Of course you don't, because you want to stay in sin. You want our people to stay in sin. You want our people to die 1,000 deaths. You want our people to die the second death. Of course you don't want me to say anything. Of course you don't. Of course I become your enemy because I'm talking about it. I'm sharing it. Then your enemy I shall remain happily, my sister and my brother. I'll happily remain your enemy. But let me skip on over here so we can stop this, praise y'all the next 5 minutes. Well, let's go to verse 25. I think I can get through this in the next 5 minutes. He says, behold, this is 1 Kings 21, verse 21. He said, behold, I will bring evil upon you and take away your prosperity. And I will cut off Ahab, him that pissed against the wall, it means all of his men children, and him that is shut up and left in Israel. Amen. Him that is shut up You know what I'm saying? And left, and that might be his daughters too, shutting up their wombs. I mean, that part of it, you know, I guess you'll have to ask the Rahuk if that's the meaning. I believe that's what that means. Okay, and I could be wrong, but I believe it's talking about the women too. When you shut up a woman's womb, you know what I'm saying? That means that she will bear no seed either for the men. He said, and I will make your house like the house of Yavram, the son of Nevat, and like the house of Basha, the son of Yahuwah, Yahuwah, for the provocation wherewith you have provoked me to anger, and you made Israel to sin. You see, when we go out there and do wickedness, we're not just condemning ourselves, brothers and sisters. All of our nation is being judged for the sins that we are out here, committing. That's why we should hold each other accountable. That's why we should say something. That's why most of these clergy people don't want you to say anything. They want to do all the talking because they want to lie and mislead us. That's why they want to shut down platforms like this. That's why they will say, don't share that. Don't let nobody hear that because people are going to think you have lost your mind. No, you haven't lost your mind. Matter of fact, you come into your senses. You found your mind when you bring forth the truth and you teach the truth. Don't let them lie to you. Amen? Because that's what they're going to do, to shut us down. Let's go on. And verse 20, and Jezebel also spoke Yahuwah, saying, this is a condemnation Yahuwah put on Jezebel for her wickedness. Sisters, I'm telling you, you out there doing what you want to do, thinking it's okay to do it, you better be careful. Because Yahuwah is going to judge you just like he's going to judge your men, your sons. And many of you think because you're a woman somehow or another, because this society says, you're a victim and you're a victim and you're a victim and you're a victim, and you're buying into that victimhood. Well, you may be a victim according to men, but you're not a victim according to Yah. You're not a victim according to Yah. He is going to hold you 100% accountable for your wickedness or for your behavior. 100% accountable. Yahuwah is going to hold you 100%. Even if your man don't hold you accountable. Her man did not hold her accountable, but Yahuwah did. Her man let her get away with it, but Yahuwah didn't. And he sent forth a prophet, a messenger, to tell them about it. Tell both of them, y'all coming to get y'all. And that's for all of us. We don't repent, y'all's going to tear us up. He's going to tear down all your so-called prosperity. You have provoked him to anger when we go out here and do these abominable behaviors. Time to rid that out of our lives, sisters and brothers. Amen? Time to rid ourselves of this. Come out from among them. Be you separate, says Elohim. Touch not the unclean things. And then what? I will be your king. I will be your father. I will be your leader. I will be your protector. I will be your guide. I will be your resource. Just don't follow after them. Do not participate in the heathens' customs, traditions, rituals, and everything they do is a ritual. Even their marriage ceremonies, their anniversary ceremonies, their birthday ceremonies, all these are rituals, my brothers and sisters. You need to know that. Their holidays, all of those are pagan rituals. And many of our people are participating in this and not taking the time to step back and say, wait a minute, if I'm following them, that means I'm following most people. Does that mean that I'm following the broad way, the wide gate that leads to destruction that Yahushua warned? Yes. Yes, it does. Amen. Verse 24. Well, verse 20, and Jezebel also spoke Yahuwah, saying, the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jerel. Him that dies of Ahab in the city, the dog shall eat. And him that dies in the field, the birds or the fowls of the air shall eat. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work the wickedness in the sight of Yahuwah, whom Jezebel his woman stirred up. That's why I say you can't, brother, don't fellowship with no wicked ass woman. If her ass is wicked, get rid of her. I know some of you should get mad. Well, I need to get rid of. Look, you're playing games now. You're playing games. So his wickedness justifies your wickedness? Maybe to you it does, but not before Elohim. Both of you going to be held accountable. Did you not hear what I just read? So you going tit for tat with him. Well, if he did it, I'm going to do it. Okay, well, you're going to go to hell right with him. And I hope you're good with it. You're going to burn in the lake of fire right with her, brother. I hope you're good with it. I mean, again, really, you love her that much that you're going to go to hell behind her? Sister, you want him that bad that you're going to go to hell for him? Couldn't be me. Oh, no. No. And am I susceptible? All of us are susceptible to being tempted of Satan? Yes, we all are. But that's why we have the Ruach inside of us to help us fight against that temptation. That's why we have it. And in fighting against the temptation to love the world, it creates a love for us of one another. Every sister that is listening to me right now, you deserve a righteous, Yahuwah-fearing man. That's what you deserve, sister. A righteous, Yahuwah, even better, Israelite fearing man. Because that's who he set aside for you. That's what you deserve. Why are you settling for anything less? When all he's going to do is lead you and yours to destruction. You and your children. Why are you settling for him? Are you that desperate? Are you that lustful? And no, I'm not talking about being alone. Elohim did not call for you to be alone. Your purpose is to be a helpmate to a man. That's why you were created. Amen? Go back and read the beginning of books. It's not good for a man to be alone. Therefore, I should create for him a woman, a helpmate. You're there to assist him, but not in folly and wickedness, as Jezebel did, but in righteousness and honor. To be a virtue to him, not a curse unto him. Man, see you, his heart should melt because of the love that emanates from you, that Elohim put in you to share with him. But we have fallen away as a nation of people. And y'all, somebody got to say something about it. So guess what? Your brother DFG, I'm going to say something about it. I love you too much not to. I love my own soul too much not to say something about it. And whether you're good with what I'm saying or not good with what I'm saying, that's between you and the Most High. That's your soul that you're going to have to deal with. I just pray that you get it right. Because again, there's a way that's going to seem right to you, but it's the wrong way. I'm sharing with you from the book. So I'm sharing with you the right way. Amen? Almost done. He says in verse 20, and they did very abominable in following idols, according to the things as did the Emorym, whom Yahuwah cast out before the children of Israel. Emorym is another word of the wicked. They were practicing the customs of the wicked. Those traditions, rituals, festivities, societies, all those things you heard me speak about. They were participating. That's the covering. That's an all-encompassing statement. Covers all of those things. Elohim hates those things. And anyone who's participating in those things, the hatred of Elohim is going to judge you. The evil that Elohim brought on them, he's going to bring on you if you continue in those ways. Get out of your feelings and stop getting mad at me for telling you what thus says the Most High. Amen? I'm warning you. You can still do what you want to do. But at least I'm bringing it out. I'm bringing it to your attention in case you did not know. Because religion corrupted us. Many of us corrupted us. Oh, you could do this, you could do that. It's all, it doesn't matter. Just, that's just, it's all in the name. Names don't matter. They are lying. Don't call it Halloween. Just call it Harvest Night and you're good. Don't call it Easter. Call it Resurrection Sunday and you're good. It ain't about Santa and Christmas trees. It's about Jesus and you're good. And we bought right into that stuff. And then we say we came out, but we took that with us when we came out. So are we truly out? Or are we still in just by another name, another concept? The name is changed, but the person is still the same. The name is changed, but the event is exactly the same thing. Verse 27. And it came to pass when Ahab heard these words that he tore his clothes and he put on sackcloth upon his flesh and he fasted and he laid in the sackcloth and he went softly. In other words, he repented. I wonder how many of you, after listening to this message, will go back and evaluate how you've been living, and then it's going to take upon a fast, rent your clothes, repent, and go before Elohim softly, humbly, and say, you know what? I didn't understand these things like I understand these things now, and I seek your forgiveness. I wonder how many of you are going to do that, because that's exactly what he did, not what Jezebel did. Jezebel just continued on in her manipulation. If you guys know the rest of the story, when judgment came to her, she went and put makeup on, put a hat on her head, tried to seduce the damn man. That's so much like these. That was her. I'm just gonna make myself pretty. But Ahab, at least he did fall on his knees and cry out and ask for forgiveness. The judgment was still passed, but let's find out if Elohim heard him. Verse 28. And the word of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, see how Ahab humbles himself before me? Because he humbles himself before me, I will not bring evil in his days, but in his son's days, I will bring evil upon his house. You see why, guys, this stuff is so important? See why it's so important that we understand the word, that we hear the word, that we teach the word, that we use the precepts of the word, that we study to show, to get Elohim's approval that we're studying correctly, that our understanding is correctly. You see how important that is? How many of you have read that story and concluded that Ahab did repent? Now, Ahab did die because he kept on doing the same kind of little folly. Just when Jezebel was gone, you think he would have just become more honorable. He just attacked Elijah and said, oh, this guy ain't never have anything good. But that's a story for another day. I think I've shared that story anyway, when Elohim sent a lion spirit to him and got him killed on the battlefield. Send an angel with a lying spirit to him. But because he humbled himself at that time, he repented. Elohim said, okay then, I'm going to spare you. Your seed's still going to be damned. So it's not a get out of jail free card. The judgment of Elohim is still going to exist, but you won't be getting licked up by the dogs anytime soon. And that's why I said, for some of you who may have taken that jab, maybe it's time for you to repent. But in that repentance, you have to be humble. What does humble mean? It means that you're going to turn away and come back to the book. You're going to turn away from all these customs, all these things that you behaved in prior to this moment or that moment that you repent. You're going to have to denounce all of that. No more birthday parties. No more, crab fest and crawfish balls. All that stuff. All that abominable stuff. You got to leave all that alone. That's calling humble yourself. Amen? You're going to have to be willing to do all of that. And if you're willing to do that, then Elohim will heal your body. At least he healed Ahab. At least he removed the judgment, or he delayed the judgment. And I suspect that Ahab probably would have had a chance to be totally redeemed. But he went like the dog going back to the vomit. The pig goes back to the mud. You heard your brother talk about it. Yah will pull some of you out, has pulled some of us out of this world, and we were good. And then you know what happened? We let the enemy come in, tell us some lies, give us some flattery, tell us some things that we wanted to hear. And what do? We turned right back out there and went right back out there to that world. And now we're just as wicked, and we can't even find the conviction to turn back. So now we just justify our behavior and just say, if I play my little music and I go to church or I listen to my pastor's sermon, I'm good. No, you're not. That's called rebellion. That's a form of godliness. That is not what Elohim is requiring of you. You either come all the way in or you're all the way out. 99.9 will not do. You either come all the way into the truth or you are participating in self-deceiving lies. What do you mean? He said a little leaven levels the whole lump, or it's a small fox that spoiled the vine. That's what he's saying. You're either all the way in, sister, or you're all the way out. Brother, you're either all the way in or you're all the way out. Choose this day whom you will serve. Amen. So what a lesson. Praise Yah. I hope it resonates with you. I hope it helps. Again, we're in a wicked time. We're in an evil time. Time like no other time before. And Elohim is increasing some of our knowledge, and then some of us are being destroyed for a lack thereof. A way that seems right to us. But it's self-righteousness. It's not according to the book. And it's the book, the Torah, or nothing. And I know you might say, well, I guess it'll be nothing. Well, you'll regret those words. You'll live again to eat those words. You'll eat them in this life, and you're going to eat them in the life to come. You better be careful what you say. Because remember, Elohim hears it and what you're thinking. So that said, again, I'm going to ask again that you thumb it up. See if we can, again, for two reasons. One, to push it forward. If it'll be pushed forward, it's probably shadow banned, so it may not go any farther. That's Yah's. I'll leave that to Yah. But I do ask of you, my sisters and brothers, if you are a like-minded believer, then I ask you to thumb it up. Because I like to be able to see, are these thumbs up being controlled by some other source, some demonic force, versus, my brothers and sisters just forgetting to do it or, refusing to do it. Amen? All right, brothers. Love you in the truth. DFG, talk to you later. Bye now.